Let me ask you this question, my friends. What's another word for a weak hadith or for a fabricated hadith? Give me another word for that. Just leave the technical terminology aside for a moment. And I'll give you the word. Another word for a weak hadith or for a fabricated hadith and for an invented hadith is a lie. That is a very good alternative word for these, stories that people believe in. And let me just show you a few examples, because it is a very common and a very rife part of Islam. Take a look at this and we'll talk about it now.
Generally speaking, the hadith which has been recorded by Imam Abu Dawood in his Sunan about the division of the Ummah into 73 sects. The scholars of hadith have serious disagreement about the matn of this hadith.
Right. Matn being?
The text of this hadith.
Yes.
They talk about the chains also. Because the matn says the Jews and the Christians, they divided into 71 and 72 sects.
So what he's saying is that the scholars have some very serious reservations about this famous hadith, which I can't think of any priest that has not quoted this hadith that I've ever attended the service at. And yeah, this great scholar, he seems like a very genuine scholar, this man, Shaik Shu'aib Wani. He basically, from a very scientific point of view, he draws extreme doubt on this very famous hadith, which we basically are fed since the time we go to mosque the first time. Let's just continue.
The ummah will divide into 73. So this is a worst ummah, not the best ummah. So according to minority, I'm not saying the majority of the hadith scholars, they accept this hadith. It's acceptable. But there is a minority.
Yeah.
Some muhaddithun, they cause doubt on the authenticity of this hadith.
Now, I don't know what is he meaning by that? Is he meaning that the majority accepts the lie? Because that would even be worse. That means that 95% of the so-called priests in Islam, they actually accept this lie and they go on living by this lie and teaching this lie and teaching it in their schools and in their madrasas, this lie. And this man who is if you look at his CV, you'll see that I will rather trust his words than all these other paid agents.
Because of the matn. They say this is against the Qur'an, contradicts the Qur'an. Because Qur'an clearly has established the fact that this ummah is khayru ummah, ukhrijat linnas. Now this 71, 72, 73, this has become a worst ummah.
So, yeah, he's just basically using the Qur'an also to debunk that false story. And let me just show you another example of a scholar, contemporary scholar, whom I don't... And when I show these people, it doesn't mean I endorse them or agree with them, by the way. Let me just show you this one of also.
Of videos from famous Muslim speakers who are very popular in the world, each one shown to be citing a forged hadith. Now, I wasn't honored to make that list, but these are very famous.
You weren't on that
list. Well, yes, maybe I'll save us all. But I'm not saying that I'm immune from that, because what has happened here is that we've heard these narratives again and again, and sometimes the more scandalous and the more sensational, the more these get circulated. And
it's like social media.
Yeah, and sometimes we can hardly remember the difference between the ones that are genuine and the ones that are not, because they're all in our minds. We heard them like songs in our heads. We can't get the tunes out. So, for example, one scholar is cited as saying that when we sacrifice an animal for the pleasure of God, then we get rewards as many as the hairs on that animal. So I would have thought that is a genuine narrative.
There's another lie. And so just two examples of lies. But what I want to do is I want to share with you. I want to teach you, my friends, because I've actually done some spade work and I've actually done the studying and the investigation to a large extent. And from what I can understand is that there are 2 or 3 massive lies that you have to believe in order for you to be a good Muslim. The first lie is that you have to believe that every hadith that comes through one of these books that have been blessed by your priest, these books are sacred and pious books, and if you take them, you need to revere them, and the words in there are sacred, no matter if it's a bunch of lies. That's the first lie, is that they are the sacred Salafus Salih, and they use that term, the Salafus Salih. The word Salih means kind, wholesome, pure, of good essence. So what they do is, when they call the Salafus Salih, they mean all the books, and they bestow on those books the title of Salih, Sulh. It is wholesome. It is essentially pure. And that is the first massive lie, is that all these books are sacred and have some sort of wholesomeness in them. That's the first lie. The second lie that you are made to believe in order to be a good Muslim is that the Qur'an has to be understood through these books. That you cannot understand the Qur'an except by studying these books of lies. I'm not saying everything is a lie in those books. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need to do the due diligence. You cannot just, it's like social media. I see some people getting a message on Facebook or whatever, and simply posting it on their, a timeline, or just basically forwarding it to a number of people, whether it's WhatsApp or whatever app they're using. So basically what they're doing is they think it's their pious duty to just promote and spread those lies further. You have to do the due diligence. Whenever somebody comes to you with some information that seems weird, that seems unbelievable, like for example, if you slaughter a goat, you'll get a reward for every hair on that goat, which is a false hadith. Don't promote that lie. Don't forward it. And hadiths are replete filled with lies. So the first lie is that the books are sacred. The second lie is that you can only understand the Qur'an by using those books that are full of lies. So in other words, your whole understanding of the Qur'an is contaminated. And then the third lie is that the Qur'an itself has got certain aspects that have been revoked or cancelled or reversed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your Qur'an is no longer valid as it stands. You need to ask the priest which parts of the Qur'an are cancelled out. And they use the term nasikh and mansukh. So what they then allow is that the books of hadith then, which you don't find the concept of nasikh and mansukh. Nobody can tell me where's the set of mansukh hadiths. So the hadith then, which is a sacred pious body, trumps the Qur'an, and the Qur'an can be cancelled out, can be removed. Some of the verses of the Qur'an can be removed. And there are many verses that are removed. Like for example, the hadith on stoning the adulterer or the adulteress is not in the Qur'an, it's in the hadith. And so the Qur'an stipulates a punishment, which is a form of corporal punishment, but not stoning. And so that is the third lie. And these are the lies that you are made to believe. And then people come when their minds are saturated with hadith, like when your mind becomes saturated with the lies, then you start questioning the Qur'an. Now we come here as a minority, myself and many others like me, and we teach you that the Qur'an has to be speaking for itself. If you see the word salah in the Qur'an, you read it as it stands in the Qur'an. You don't have to run to 150 hadiths to understand that concept. That concept is mentioned in the Qur'an more than 85 times, salah. Now if I write you an essay and I use one word 85 times, you will surely be able to understand the meaning of that word, and you would not need hadith to explain that word. So salah is there, it is 85 times in the Quran. You are able to draw out the meaning, unless you don't want to hear the Quran's meaning. So my friends, I just thought about this example, like when it comes to salah, for example, the big lie, the big lie that salah is like a reduced, is just reduced to a mechanical ritual, right? Which is one aspect of the broad and wide concept of salah. But let me just give you an example. I was just thinking about this now. If the word record appeared in the Quran, right? And in that, let's say I wrote a book, and I use the word record, and I say to you, in my book, I write this book on life skills or life coaching, whatever, and I tell you that, a man's record is important. It is what a man and a woman accomplish that is important, and that record of behavior is what will count for you or against you, the record, right? And I use that word record in that sense, is that in an abstract way, the record, your record of behavior. Now comes some foolish person with a semi-literate person, and he picks up my book and he starts reading. Your record is important. You need to preserve your record. And what does he do? He doesn't have the ability to think abstractly, because he's a simpleton, right? And then he starts thinking, and he scratches it and says, you know what? A record is actually this disc thing, and it is a thing that plays music and they take that record. In the olden days we used to call a record the black album, the LP, or the long playing album. It's like an oversized CD, black. I don't know if you've seen one, you still get them, but these were called records. So now you go and you misread the idea of records. You reduce it to a physical, tangible object, and you start believing that, polish this record, pack it away, put it in a frame, hang it on the wall, and every day you touch it 3 times, and that is your record. And that is the way people have reduced the Quran to a triviality. Instead of the Quran is a book that presents you with high-level abstract ideas. Salah is the concept of connectedness, of being involved, of being subject to be observant. But what they've done is they've reduced it now. Like the guy who took the idea of record, and reduced it to nonsense. That is how people spread their lies to you. And my friend, it's time to wake up. Once you wake up, you'll find that you will enjoy your Islam more. You will feel the depth, the meaning, the power of the Quran. And you will escape the mindless practices and ideas that these people, who are themselves following their own leader and have not done research, you will escape that clutch.